Hello everyone! Artemu the Violet Wizard here. And today we are starting our first game in a brand new franchise to this channel, Kirby Nightmare in Dreamland. So this is quite an interesting game we are going into. This is actually a Game Boy Advance remake of a Nintendo Entertainment System game called Kirby's Adventure. Which, between the two versions, either of them I could recommend playing. They're both excellent games in their own right. Especially with regard to the original NES game. That was just such an awesome game for the system. Like, it's probably in my top 3 games from that console in general. Just because of its quality, but yeah. We are playing the Game Boy Advance remake of this game just out of personal preference. Also, you're probably asking, why are we not starting with the very first Kirby game on this channel? Well, that's because Kirby's Dreamland is such a short game, we would get it done in half an hour. So yeah, that is why we are going to be playing this game instead, which I'm perfectly fine by, because this is a very good game. Though it is one that I admittedly have not played for quite a few years. I used to have this back on the original Game Boy Advance, but I do not have my copy of the game anymore. But yeah, enough about that. Let us just jump right into this brand new adventure in the land of dreams with nightmares. So right off the bat, we got some files that we can select. And then we can choose to start the main game. We can play some sub-games, fool around with the sound test, and totally erase our file. What we're going to do is go right into Start Game. You can actually play some multiplayer stuff here if you had access to it, but we're going one player. Level 1, Vegetable Valley. Starting right off the bat, we are put into the level select screen. It's quite nice in that instead of just selecting the levels from a menu to play, actually given a short little overworld in order to mess around with in between going into the main levels of the game. But yeah, let us just go right into it by heading into the first level. So Kirby games are pretty notorious for being very easy. And you can really see that in the main controls. This is a platformer series. We're able to move around and jump in order to move around. But there are some other tricks that definitely make this a very unique experience. For one, introduced in Kirby's Adventure, we actually have the ability to slide, which can actually damage enemies, which is pretty cool. But let us actually go into the meat of some of the stuff here. So we're able to inhale enemies into Kirby's body, making them all big. And we're able to swallow enemies, allowing us to go into the main gimmick of this game. Kirby has the ability to use powers based on the enemies that he is able to swallow. And through these different abilities, he's able to unlock a lot of different attacks against enemies. For instance, inhaling that enemy called a Waddle-Doo gave us the beam ability. This beam's like a whip. Whoosh! Beam it. We can also discharge whatever ability we have on hand in order to swap it out for a new ability. So by inhaling this Sparky here, we get Spark. There's a lot of different abilities in this game, and I'll try to show off as many of these as I can going forward. Also, some enemies here, like these Waddle-Dees, if you swallow them, they do not give you an ability at all. However, what I want to show here is that if you inhale an enemy, you can spit it back out, causing them to fire out in the form of a star. When an enemy is in that star form, they serve as a projectile. So if you shoot an enemy with that star, you're able to deal damage to them, which is pretty handy in a lot of circumstances. By inhaling that guy, we get fire. I'm actually not used to the name of that enemy, so I can't really get it right now. So yeah, there's a lot of different abilities we have access to in this game, and I'll do my best to showcase all of them throughout this playthrough. Ow. Also, if you take damage from an enemy, you will also lose whatever ability that you just had. And when you reach the end of a level, you're able to play a little mini-game, which can add to your score. Also, get some really good goodies if you manage to get to the very top of the mini-game there. So by beating that level, we have opened up some more space here in Vegetable Valley. We have access to the next level, but I want to go in this door here. So this introduces a new mini-game we're able to play, Bomb Rally. Press A to hit the bombs. So we're going to play you at level 1. It's a pretty simple game, all things considered. Just hit the action command to be able to send the bombs back to your opponents. This is a good way just to rack up some bonuses that will be pretty handy throughout the adventure. Boosh! So he was not very quick on the draw and got bashed for it. Ow! I was not so good there. That screen of Kirby looking so sad is just so upsetting to me. Well, we did play good enough to get an extra life, which is very nice. Yeah, Kirby games use the life system, as you can no doubt tell. The bottom of the screen does a good job of showing off your various stats there, showing what ability we currently have, how many lives we have, which if we run out of lives, that's game over. Also have our current health, which you can see Kirby at max has 6 units of health. Once we run out of health, we lose a life. And there's also our score, which really isn't going to matter too much in our adventure. I believe if you do get high enough thresholds with your score, you do gain extra lives, which can be nice. But enough of that. Let us go into the next level. Level 2. Fire Hot. Yes, it certainly is. It's got an interesting fellow there. The big spiky enemy is a Gordo. They're one of the few enemies in this game that are completely invincible. You cannot destroy them. It's got a new enemy here, a Shotzo. It's a cannon that will fire little bullets at you, so definitely try to avoid those. But we get a new ability from that little knight guy, Cutter. This is certainly a cool ability, giving the ability to throw these little boomerang blades. Also, if you're able to throw the blade and not catch it with your body, it shoots past you. It's quite helpful for dealing with some enemies. Right here, we got our first instance of a mid-boss. These guys are definitely something special. You want to watch out for these guys, because they can have some things that'd be pretty good for us. That particular guy is called Poppy Brothers Sr., and he gives us the Crash ability! One of the few times this particular enemy gives us this ability. It's basically a screen nuke, destroying anything in your way. So yeah, as you can no doubt tell just from the visual style of this game, this is a very pretty Game Boy Advance games. Like, a lot of the sprite-based Kirby games just do such a good job with the visuals. Some of my favorite aspects of the Kirby series, as it tends to be very lighthearted in nature, and you can definitely feel that from the visual style. It's a very simple series, but its simplicity leads to a lot of creativity. Ooh, so we got a pretty cool enemy over here. This guy with a sword is actually a knight, and he gives us access to the sword ability, turning Kirby into a Link cosplayer, and giving us a handy weapon for dealing with enemies. So we beat that level there. We can move on to Act 3. Alright, so sword is pretty much a close-range attack. Pretty helpful for dealing with a few threats that we're going to see. It has a pretty good close range. Definitely good for breaking those blocks and getting past the shot zone. So yeah, Kirby's moveset, when it comes to his abilities, in this game at least, tend not to be the most complex. As this game was a remake of a NES game, they obviously had some limitations. limitations they had to make. So most of the abilities that you come across in the game only have one attack that they're able to do, unfortunately. It's not too bad, all things considered. As we can see here, by beating that one enemy before, we obtained an ability called Burning. Very much like another version of fire, except instead of breathing fire, we shoot ourselves forward as a fireball. It's pretty cool, but yep, it's just cool. Let's get a couple guys here. So we can also travel underwater. You don't need to worry about oxygen. But your abilities are restricted when you're underwater, save for a few. So definitely watch out for that. Just incinerate these small fry here. Actually might want to grab... I was trying to grab the burning ability from that guy, but never mind. Ooh, so definitely want to pick up that. Ow! Glowing tomato thing there is what's known as a Maxim tomato. If you grab those, it fully replenishes Kirby's health. So, obviously you want to do that. I'm taking so many pot shots here. I am so sorry for this poor performance. But I guess that is to be expected. I have not played this game in a long time. Ooh, with that, we unlock another door here. This is the museum. You copy abilities for free. So this gives you access to just find an ability from a specific enemy that you're able to just pick up whenever you want. It can be quite helpful, especially if you have an ability that you have a particular preference for. Alright, with that said, let's move on to number 3. Another thing I like with the quality of Kirby games, well, besides this guy, is the music. So you can tell here, just the soundtrack of this game is really good, as are most Kirby games. But completely glancing over what we just did, that boss we beat there is named Mr. Frosty, and he gives us the freeze ability. This creates a burst of cold around us that freezes enemies into blocks. And while an enemy is frozen into a block, you're actually able to push them into other enemies as a projectile. It is quite cool, wouldn't you say? Ooh, this enemy. I want to try to pick you up. Show up some things here. Ow! Okay, will you stop doing that? I want to show off your ability. Doesn't look like we're going to see another one of them. Oh, well. Ooh, that is really good. So that item we just picked up is an invincible candy. Grabbing those will make Kirby completely invincible. Running into enemies will not deal damage to us and will instead destroy any enemies we come across. Very useful. You'll want to pick up any invincibility candy you discover. And yep, that showcases what happens when you get to the end of the goal game. You receive a free 1-up from the little UFO Kirby there. And that is actually the last level in Vegetable Valley. At the end of each world, after beating all of the levels, you can find these doors at the end with this little icon here of a certain Kirby foe. This is the boss door leading to the boss level. Let us go right into this. Returning from Kirby's Dreamland, it's Wispy Woods. He's a giant tree. This guy is pretty simple, as when it comes to first bosses. He'll shoot air puffs from his mouth to damage you, and also drop apples. You want to inhale the apples, and then spit them back at Wispy to deal damage. Yeah, this guy is really simple. And by taking him out, he drops that little thing. Level 2, Ice Cream Island. Ow! That's one way to ruin someone's vacation. Alright, so while we're getting started on level 2 here, I felt like it would be nice to talk a little bit about the actual story of this game because, yeah, there is actual story and plot to be found here. So what we just picked up by beating Wispy Woods is a piece of the Star Rod, which is a pretty important item in the lore of this game. And so basically, the setting of the Kirby series is on a planet called Popstar, in a region known as Dreamland, where everything is all peachy keen and everyone gets along and are pretty jolly fellows. And the Dreamland is held together by a place called the Fountain of Dreams, which is powered up by a relic called the Star Rod. However, very recently, the Star Rod has been taken from the Fountain of Dreams and is no longer supplying Dreamland with the dreams that everyone adores. And because that, things are pretty bad. And Kirby is now making it his mission to recover the pieces of the Star Rod that had been taken by King Dedede and his minions. So yeah, pretty simple premise, all things considered. Also, completely glanced over this, but we gained a new ability from one of the enemies here, which is Tornado. This is a really awesome ability, especially from what we're going to see going forward. Just love the amount of distance you're able to get with this ability, both horizontal and vertical. It is awesome. But anyway, let's go play another minigame, Kirby's Air Grind. Press A to grind the rails. You can't grind black rails. Alright, let's give this a try here. Start. So this minigame is pretty simple. Just stop grinding when you come up to the black rails, and you should be good. Ow. I am really not doing too hot here. Yeah, I did not place very good there. Jeez. We were third. That gives me 1-1-up. Alright. It's gonna be a while before you're actually able to replay the mini-games in order to earn more prizes, but we'll just keep going here onto our next area. Just going to avoid these guys here. They're, ow! Not important to us. Stupid flying pig thing. So here, what we have here is a bomb block. Breaking those will make it so that any blocks nearby will be destroyed. Quite helpful for getting through areas, as well as solving a few puzzles, as we'll see going forward. God, I am still just so blown away by the visuals in this game. Like, these backgrounds look so good. So we got another mid-boss here. This is the Grand Wheelie. It is a large tire that will be shooting out other tires and ramming into us to deal damage. It's really nothing too bad we have to worry about. We take care of you and inhale you. This gives us Wheel. A pretty elusive ability as it's only found by a few select enemies. With this ability, you just turn into a wheel and just start shooting around the ground, destroying anything in your path. It is quite cool. A lot of games also do a lot of cool stuff with the wheel ability. There's a lot of cool applications for this thing later down the line. That taken care of, we can now access the third area here, as well as another mini-game. Time to do Bomb Rally again, and maybe this time we'll actually win. I know when I was practicing playing this game yesterday, I actually did really good in the round of Bomb Rally I did. We can just try to see what happens here. Alright, 2 opponents taken out, just 1 more to go. Ow! Too late. I just love that neutral face Kirby has, like, well, that happened. For being a little ball of bubblegum, Kirby is fairly expressive, which again is something I really like about this series. So by inhaling that Waddle Dee with a Parasol, we gain the Parasol ability. This is not only a weapon that can be used to bash enemies like a sword, but it also slowly affects your fall. Not sure we're going to be able to do that. Alright, so we're actually going to need to grab that sword ability from the Sword Knight. Ooh, I do not know if we're going to be able to do this. Yeah, that guy's not going to respawn. Alright, that's a little disappointing for a number of reasons, but don't worry, we'll check that out in a little bit. When I get past these guys here, Kirby does have a basic attack when he is underwater, which is spitting water out of his mouth, which is definitely helpful for getting past these fish enemies. They are called blippers, and pretty simple. They move very slowly in the water, and really aren't too much trouble for us. Meanwhile, these flying guys, they're called Bronto Burt, be a little pain to deal with. Alright, we can also shoot a little air puff out of our mouth when we hover, which is good for destroying these blocks here. And we got ourselves a little challenge. So whenever you see that night guy in the mask, that means certain things can happen. In this case, we have a little challenge where we're dealing with this horde of enemies. So the masked warrior we saw is called Meta Knight. And these enemies we're facing are his crew, the Meta Knights. They come in a couple different varieties using a lot of different weapons, and be a little tricky to deal with if you don't have an ability. But we were able to handle them pretty well. Definitely want to grab that. So that is a pep drink. It is a better healing item than you would expect from most other things, healing 2 units of health, which is definitely very nice. Ooh, just made it to the #1 spot. Woo! So yeah, that guy we saw in that previous level, Meta Knight, he is fairly important to the overall story and lore of the Kirby games, as we're going to be seeing going forward. I guess we don't really need to go for that door, actually. I was a little worried about something because of what I know in this. Ooh, so now with this museum, we have a pick of fire or laser. I'm gonna grab laser right quick because this is pretty cool. So laser fires, well, a laser. Also, I just love the visor Kirby has when he is using this ability. Cool thing about the Kirby series with the way it advances is that over the time, the abilities Kirby gains will receive special cosmetic effects on Kirby. And as you can tell in this game, whenever Kirby gets an ability, he has a special hat that he wears in tandem with those abilities. That's not the case in Kirby's Adventure, as Kirby just looks normal when he has an ability. But yeah, I just love the visual style of always being able to tell at a glance what Kirby's ability is. Alright, with all that taken care of, let us move forward. God, this is another very gorgeous area. Not really the best at hitting enemies here, but it's okay. Ow. Come on. I just got that ability. I guess I'll just leave it be. Ow. Stupid pigs. Sure, we'll grab some fire. Definitely want this tomato. Ah! Be very careful not to fall into pits, as that will instantly kill you. Alright, we got a few abilities here. This is a new one we haven't seen yet. Stone. So with the stone ability, you turn into a rock and slam down into the ground hard. It's quite useful because as long as you're a stone, you are invincible and do not take damage. which is also pretty helpful when we're dealing with this guy, Mr. TikTok. If we beat that guy and take his power, he gives us Mike, a very unique ability. So we can see here with Mike, this is a screen nuke move, much like we saw before with the crash ability. I'm actually going to remove you for now and just show off here a cool effect with laser. So whenever you're in an area with these slopes, you can actually redirect the laser by hitting the slopes, which is very cool. Just shoot a specific spot, and you'll be able to access a lot of good stuff. Can we actually grab this pep drink? I kind of need it here. Go away, you. So there's another pep drink here. Let's get past the shot zone. And definitely want this extra life here. Alright, very good. And we should be just about done this area. There's another pep drink, but we really don't need it, so let's just keep moving. Another nice aspect of Kirby is that you really do not need to worry too much about combat. Especially with Kirby's ability to fly, you can just avoid a lot of hazards that way. It is kind of lazy to kind of avoid conflicts like that and not engage with enemies, but I don't know, it's still a reliable strategy. With that taken care of, we've opened up the next area. Ooh, so this is gonna be good. So this is an arena, battle for maximum tomatoes and copy abilities. So this arena here gives us the opportunity to battle against the various mid-bosses that we can encounter throughout the game and gain their abilities. So by beating Mr. Frosty there, we're able to obtain Freeze. And we can just kind of challenge him whenever we want if we want this ability again. Quite helpful. Alright, we are just about done out. Alright, this area with the shot zones is quite annoying. These ones fire really quickly, so you definitely gotta be careful. Let's grab this pep drink before we leave. Yeah, I really wouldn't classify Kirby games as being... Wow, that's very cool! The fact that I was able to do this! Okay, so, fun fact, if you're able to inhale 2 enemies that can give you abilities, you're able to randomly shuffle what ability they gave you. And I got this. UFO is probably the most elusive ability in the game, and quite possibly the best one. So, with UFO, we are able to fire a wide variety of different things. I don't believe we're going to be able to get past you there. But we have a wide range of different beam attacks that you're able to do. Trying to think about what... Yeah, this seems like something we're supposed to do with Wheel. I'm very upset about this because I got UFO. It's one of the... Oh, we can just barely squeeze through with the weak UFO. Oh man, that's so good. And just down there is a pep drink. You can even use the UFO when you're underwater, which just really shows how useful this is. But yeah, it's the most elusive ability in the game. It's super useful in combat. It's just a banger of an ability. I am so surprised I was actually able to get this, because you normally don't acquire this thing under normal circumstances. There's only a few brief areas in the game where you're able to get this. And I really hit the lottery with this one. Let's go into this door. Another nice thing about UFO is that you're just able to hover indefinitely, which is certainly very nice. Ow! I could quickly grab my UFO back, please. If you do not grab your abilities after a while, they will go away permanently. So definitely be on the lookout for that. It's got these Poppy Bro Juniors riding on these apples and tomatoes here. We're just gonna bypass these guys entirely. Man, how far in the game can I keep the UFO ability? I mean, I am eventually gonna have to give this thing up in order to... Okay, that is troublesome. So, I believe the main gimmick with UFO is that you can only use it in the level you acquire it, and you're not able to bring it into other levels. I think that is the aspect about this ability that I was forgetting. Alright, but yeah, we are pretty much done with that. We are pretty much good to go face the boss of this area now, but just want to quickly grab... Let's grab a laser for this guy. I feel like this would be a good one. You can see here we have this star door. This set gives us access to the warp star. Use the star to jump to various levels. So yeah, we could go back to Vegetable Valley if we want, but we got unfinished business here in Ice Cream Island. Let's go for the boss door. So now we got our second boss, Paint Roller. This is probably a contender for my favorite boss in the game. So the Paint Roller will dash around to the various easels in this battlefield, and he will draw on the easels in order to generate his attacks. There's a wide variety of different things he can draw that can give you a lot of different abilities should you absorb them. But yeah, with our current setup, we were easily able to take out Paint Roller. And moving on to level 3, Butter Building. That was mean. Alright, let's go into Butter Building. This should be a fun one. Yeah, we'll grab Sword. So I believe starting with this area, we're going to start seeing a lot of something that's going to be very important to us going forward. So for this room, we got some Rockies that will fall down really quickly if you don't destroy them quickly. And what's that? We got Mr. TikTok here again. It's kind of funny we got a guy named TikTok when eventually TikTok would become like a popular trend online. Ah! But yeah, here we're gonna really get to show off Mike's qualities, as it's a screen nuke that you're able to use multiple times, which is certainly very handy. So if we go down here, we can expose this hidden door, and just want to go up through this door and expose this. So that is a switch. In various levels all throughout the game, we're able to find these switches. And hitting those switches will be able to trigger new things to appear on the overworld maps. So definitely be on the lookout. Also, as a little hint going forward, anytime you have a level that has a switch, you will note that in the event that you do not discover the switch in the level, when you exit the level, its door will stay orange. However, because we did hit the switch in that level, the doors changed to yellow. So yeah, anytime that you see a yellow door, that means you have managed to find the switch in that level. If it's an orange one, then you have not found the switch. Let's go into this arena and, oh man, challenging the Grand Wheelie here when we don't have an ability is certainly something. We can shoot the tiny wheels at him to take him out, and get ourselves a pretty handy ability for what's to come. So I really don't know how useful this ability is going to be here in this particular area. Oh, never mind. It actually is kind of built with this ability in mind. Mostly. Yeah, it always seems to be the weirdest enemies that just cause me to just completely lose my abilities. Alright, the Butter Building here, as you can no doubt tell based on the environment, we have an area based on a lot of... Ooh, of course I accidentally triggered that. So this area is taking place inside of a tower, as we can see here. So we got a lot more of a vertical level compared to what we saw before. But yeah, to kind of go into what we just saw earlier, there is a particular enemy we encountered called Scarfy. These guys are a pain because if you try to inhale them, they will turn into a more monstrous form and then chase after you. They can be a little pain to deal with. Nice try, Rocky. Alright, can we actually get to show this off here? Go away and out. Want to inhale you. Getting Needle. This is a cute little ability, just allows us to shoot out spikes like a hedgehog. Could be useful for crowd control, among other things. Certainly useful for getting into this secret door, giving us another battle against the Grand Wheelie. There we go. And let's grab your ability. Yeah, if you don't really hear me talking a lot about the abilities, it's mainly because these abilities don't really get really good until later games in the series, where they receive a lot more useful moves. I want to try and inhale this guy here! Dang. I want to be careful and inhale this guy, because this is a Pengy, and he gives kind of an elusive ability, which is the Ice ability, allowing us to breathe ice to freeze enemies and hazards. And oh boy, we got ourselves a new fight here. This is Bugsy. This guy, as you can not tell, is a big bug, and he is mean. He'll try to grab you with his pincers and then just slam you around. Let's hit you with these ice blocks. There. Oh, here he comes! I really love this guy's design. It's so cool. We can just take you out. We can now get your ability. Backdrop. Now, little interesting thing about the Kirby series, it is kind of inconsistent with its abilities at times. So you get here with Backdrop. This is a really cool one. We're able to grab enemies and suplex them. This ability would eventually become renamed the Suplex ability, starting with Kirby Superstar. But it's just a really cool ability. I just love being able to grab enemies and just slam them into the ground. It's awesome. Now, hopefully we don't need any secrets here. Yep, there we go. Alright, on to the third area. Let's just smack these guys. Right, so let the Brontos move away. I do want to grab that one enemy there because they have a certain ability that'd be cool to show off. Let's get in here. Yeah, there's definitely an area that would be fun to use a different enemy at. Oh, just kind of wait here for that to appear. I kind of remember a particular gimmick with this area, mostly in the original release of Kirby's Adventure. But yeah, this area has, a lot of doors here that we can go through, exposing a lot of secrets. So there's most likely going to be a switch in here that we're going to need to grab. While I can show this off, a nice little thing with the sword ability is that it actually does have a few different maneuvers you can do with it. Which of these doors want to go through here? It's that one. Okay. Ow! Mother! Go through here, and that takes us to the exit. I kind of suspect that there is a hidden switch in that level. We're gonna have to wait and see. I don't know the locations of all the secrets in this game, but I'll try to be sure to cover everything we can. Yep, we got everything there. Good. Let's head into this museum. So, this gives us a new ability by consuming that Starman, High Jump. This pretty much turns Kirby into a superhero, giving us the ability to jump really high. It's quite a cool ability, as we'll see going forward. Certainly useful against quite a couple enemies. Shooting up here with our Whoop Star. And we got ourselves another challenge by Meta Knight. Let's just smack these enemies away. So these guys with the axes are kind of... be a little tricky because they will throw their axes at you. Not too bad. This is kind of an awkward ability to use for this particular area. I'm not gonna lie. Can we get my ability back, please? Alright, let's slide into this sucker to take you out. Or, never mind. Let's take advantage of those invincibility frames. Alright, we dealt with the Meta Knights here and are very close to death. Ow! I ran right into the frickin' Gordo, are you kidding me? Okay, this area is very windy, so I want to be careful going through here. And we are done. Yeah, as you can not tell, levels in this game are quite short. But I think it's nice. It's nice to not have to worry too much about a game overstaying its welcome. Alright, we got a new minigame here, Quick Draw. When you see the exclamation mark, quickly press A. Gotcha! 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 Ow! Well, of course, Dedede was the one that gave us the most trouble there. Well, we got some good bonus points from that at least. It's kind of interesting one of the characters we saw in that minigame was Chef Kawasaki, because he's not normally in this game. But whatever, let's head off to next area here of Butter Building. Let's grab High Jump. Alright, that's an interesting one to grab that way. Alright, we should just be shooting up here normally. I don't know what I'm doing here. Alright, so this enemy over there is a Chili. That would normally be the enemy that gives you the freeze ability. And over here, we definitely got a hard hitter. This is Bonkers. And no, he is not a bobcat, he is a monkey. Bonkers is quite the rough customer here. He has a big hammer that he will use to smash you. And he'll also throw coconuts at you. It's quite a cool enemy. And by beating him, we get Hammer. This is probably one of the best abilities in the game when it comes to pure damage alone. Sping, it's able to bash most hazards, and it's also useful for driving those wooden pegs into the ground, which is certainly useful for accessing a couple things we normally wouldn't be able to get. Woo! So hopefully we're all done there. Yep. And we can move on to Area 6. I want to try to hold on to Hammer a little bit longer, especially because I do not know if this is going to be really useful for anything coming up. Let me get my ability back. Alright, this seems like an area that is built with laser in mind. Ouch! Yeah, this seems very laser-focused, just because of the way things are situated here. Move up. Grab our tomato. Come here, Froggy. There we go. I know! Okay, let's just get in here now. Also, hello, Naystar Fleastar. Welcome to the stream. We're just playing through some Kirby Nightmare in Dreamland. A pretty casual playthrough, and hopefully it's not going to take as long for us to finish compared to Ocarina of Time. But yep, that is where we get the secret switch in this level. Very glad I grabbed that one. Just gonna... Ow! God, what a pain. Oh, this area. So this one's gonna be a bit interesting. Want to be on the lookout for something around here. So that guy with the sunglasses, he gives us the light ability. It's a very interesting ability in that it's only useful for one thing, and that's lighting up dark rooms such as this one. Yeah, I really wish there could be more done with that particular ability, because like just a very cool concept you could work with. But yeah, it's only useful for that area. Alright, we got ourselves some things we grab on either path, one of which being a pep drink, which I appreciate. Seems like an area would be really good for using high jump. Which path do we want to take here? I don't think there are any... Well, we already got the secret here. Let's take the middle, and... yeah, sadly, we cannot go down these platforms, so we missed out on both of the goodies. Yay! Oh, we got this at least. That's good. Woo! So with that, yep, that gives us the boss level here in Butter Building. So that should be all secrets obtained in this area. Yup, there's nothing more for us to do here. Alright, so let us go face the boss. So I don't know if sword's going to be too useful against these guys, but let's try it. It's the boss of Butter Building, Mr. Shine and Mr. Bright. We're fighting the sun and moon themselves. It's quite an interesting fight, as both of these guys have certain abilities that they have unique to each other. But, man, that was easy. Like, I don't know if these fights are a bit harder in the NES version compared to how they are in this version, but it just seems like the bosses really go down quickly. Alright, moving on to level 4, Grape Garden. Nah, poor Kirby didn't get his balloons. Alright, new area. Given our current time, I feel like we should be able to finish up Grape Garden, and then that'll probably be the last thing we do in this session. Oh, there's a green Waddle Dee there. Huh. This area has some interesting little palette swap changes. I don't really know if that is too common within... Oh yeah, that is a blue Waddle too. Am I running into shiny Pokemon right now, or what? Yeah, I forgot about this aspect of this. Oh! UFO! Grab you! So those guys are the sole enemy that give you the UFO ability. And, yeah, you want this thing. Sadly, we're not going to be able to carry the UFO outside of this area, but I'm just happy to have this thing. It's such a great ability, just clears through enemies and hazards so easily. It is great. I feel like this area also has a secret I want to watch out for. Yeah, that area with the one block there, that can expose a red star, which if we enter, gives us that switch, exposing another level we can go through. Nice. So that is actually a pretty decent secret. Only able to see it if you're really paying attention to the game. And again, it's some nice environmental challenge. So that one enemy there that is sleeping is kind of an interesting enemy. It's what's known as a naughty. And it gives the most useless ability in the game, sleep. It makes Kirby go to sleep and nothing else. Yay! Alright, so move on to level 2. Or we could do another round of Bomb Rally, see if we can actually beat this one. Come on, let's see what we can do. Now would probably be a good time to mention that the minigames we're able to play in this version of the game compared to Kirby's Adventure are very different. Like, there's a different minigame involving bombs in Kirby's Adventure, but kind of thing that both versions of the game have bombs in some of their minigames. There we go. And now Kirby is finally happy. We went from sad to neutral to happy. And we get free 1-ups by beating that level. Very nice. Alright, let's move on to Area 2. It's kind of funny this area is called Grape Garden, since it has much more of a sky theme to it, as you can see here. We're very careful with our attack. We should be able to open this up. Excuse me, game. Want to open this up, please? Okay, can we grab an ability that can actually do this? Sparky, come over here. No, not you. Definitely like the environment around here. It's very pretty. Hey, can we please grab the spark? Go away. There we go. Finally open up this door. Ugh. It's got a lot of puppy brothers around here, among other things. We've got some red ones kind of having a little Santa motif here. Ow. Can we please grab my spark? I don't really need this ability too much. Certainly not the best ability in this game. Although later games really do good work with spark, as we will see eventually as we play more of this series. I'm able to grab a Maxim Tomato here. And ow. Let us head this way. Yeah, as you can not tell, the theme of this area is Poppy Brothers. We could grab that pep drink, but I don't really feel like it. And over here, we got a battle against 2 Poppy Bros seniors. Alright, Spark here is actually really good for being able to avoid damage from the bombs. Just try to take these suckers out with our shield. And let's eat one of you to get Crash. That could be useful for something coming up. Woo! Well, that was an interesting area to do. Alright, so we got level 3 now. And we got ourselves an arena challenge. Oh wait, no, quick draw. Alright, we'll try this again. I just really love the Japanese aesthetic they use with the art direction here. It's very cool. I gotta be really quick on the draw if I'm actually gonna win this. Alright, that was better. 19. Ow! Man, a 17 wasn't fast enough. Yeah, Dedede is one tough customer. It's not going to be easy to beat him. Alright, let us move on, and I really need to get rid of... What I want to say there, I need to get rid of Crash so that we can inhale this guy and get fire. So what we have here is a quick little puzzle that will become standard throughout the Kirby series after this game. So we have cannons here with a fuse that we can light with certain abilities, allowing us to fire up into certain areas. Definitely very useful. This area is certainly very cool. We have all these airships we can go across now. I think there might be a secret exit around here, so definitely want to be on the lookout. There's a door here. Also a gold shot zone. We're really seeing a lot of different color palettes, aren't we? Sure. Why don't we grab umbrella? I mean parasol. Certainly very useful in a windy area like this, don't you think? Get in the door, Kirby. Oh, that's what you do. You inhale the Maxim tomato through the wall. Good. Alright, that's what we need to do there. Is there anything else we can see around these airships? I really don't know who was responsible for building these airships, but given a certain character throughout the series who is known for having battleships, I have a sneaking suspicion that it might be Meta Knight. Wow, can we grab this, please? And this will take us away. Back into the clouds. Alright, that's an interesting area. Gonna have to check to see if there's any secret we missed in that area. Because I feel like with the airships there probably would be. Yep, there is indeed a secret here. Alright, we got the one with the cannon, so we don't need to worry about that. Like, it's not too much trouble, but I am gonna try to get all of the secrets that can be found here in this game. It's really not too much trouble. And if it really calls for it, I could try looking up where the secrets are, just in case. Alright, nothing around the top area. Suspect that that was the door that leads out. Perhaps? Oh, no, that's actually the secret. So yeah, right at the end of that area, we have the secret. Alright, then we can just go back through this door and make our way through. Alright, this is not too bad. The secret wasn't that hard to find. Wind here is definitely making this segment a little bit of a hassle to deal with. Alright, we should be just done here. And can we grab another one? No. Alright, we found that secret at least, giving us access to another museum. This could give us sleep, which, as I already described, it just puts Kirby to sleep. There is no strategic use to this ability whatsoever. It's purely here as a joke. And we can grab Ball. This is a neat ability, one I don't really consider one of the best. So Ball turns Kirby into a ball, and you bounce around in the levels to deal damage to enemies. Like in my current state I'm in, ramming into enemies will deal some pretty good damage to them. It's kind of hard to really use this one effectively, but we could try using it here in the arena. Wow, we actually did all that damage to Bugsy. Could we try that again, please?